This is a public informational meeting about the Roundabout project at South Road, 2 Mile and Colt Highway. A little history on this intersection. Back in the Plan of Conservation and Development years ago, this intersection was selected to be a roundabout, given its 4 legs and opportunity, right-of-way opportunity without having to purchase anything. It's large enough to accept the right-of-way, the roundabout. We are here, that was, I think, 30 years ago. And now, given all the development and everything in this end of town, it's finally come to fruition where it would be a benefit as far as, you know, allowing traffic and improving the traffic movements through the intersection. It'll reduce accidents that occur. Later on in this presentation, you'll see the number of accidents that we have over the last, I think we do 3 years, Quasi.
Yep.
This project is paid for fully through the LOTSIP program through CROG, which is our Capital Region Council of Governments. The design was paid for as a public-private partnership with Metro Realty, because there are improvements and latest building application through TPZ really exacerbated the intersection. And this is the one method that the DOT and the town and the region, CROG, all thought would be the best benefit to make an improvement without doing a traffic signal. There is another project adjacent to us for the I-84 ramp, and that project is going to get started this summer. There's a pre-construction meeting for that in the middle of May. Project that has been approved by the council a while ago with our application. So with that, that's a brief history on the project and where it's come from. Quasi, I'll turn it over to you and Mark so you can explain to Darlene all the really details of the project.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Russ. Let me share my screen here. Oof. Okay, let me see if I can.
Are you able to share it?
No. It says it's been disabled.
I gotta make him a co-host, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Should I try now?
Yeah, you should
Okay.
be all set as long as you accepted.
I did not get any. Let me try. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Okay. All right. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Good evening, Darlene. So my name is Quasi Brown. I manage the transportation engineering group within SLR. We are the design consultant for this project, and I am serving as a project manager for the project. With me this evening is Mark Mancini, who works in our office as well. Mark served as the lead designer on the project, and you'll be hearing from Mark as well in the course of this presentation. So as Russ indicated, this project is funded through LOTSIP. Again, SLR is a design consultant working with the town of Farmington. We've also worked with the DOT in the course of this project, as well as coordinated with the CROG, Capital Region Council of Governments. The location of the project is just south of Yukon Health, as you can see with the yellow star, South Road, Colt Highway, and 2 Mile Road. This intersection is currently always stop controlled. And it really serves as one of the main access points to the Yukon campus, Yukon Health campus. In the northwest corner, it's not showing up on that area, but the state project for the park and ride lot was recently completed for CT Fast Track. So This intersection is a pretty important intersection in terms of access to the park and ride lot, but also to Yukon Health in general. And some of the issues Russ sort of alluded to, congestion, and particularly in the peak hours is very directional. So you have in the mornings going towards Yukon Health is where you see the most queues, and in the PM coming south from Yukon Health is where you see the most queues. Safety, I will talk a little bit about that. There's some safety issues as well in terms of crash rates, and there's really generally lack of pedestrian accommodations within this intersection. And so really the goal of the project is to improve safety, enhance traffic operations, enhance pedestrian accommodations, and also to bring about some geometric improvements at this location. So we started off by looking at safety. It's always very important, and we looked at 3 years and the latest 3 years on record. We found that there were 29 total crashes. About 60% of these crashes were what we call sort of angled collisions, which is very typical for an always stop intersection. 5 crashes resulted in injuries, and 24 of these crashes resulted in property damage. There were no fatalities at this intersection over the 3-year period. So, you know, we one of the reasons we looked at and we chose a roundabout is the benefits that, in addition to just the traffic operations, but the benefits a roundabout brings in terms of safety. It's been well documented. The roundabouts will typically lead to a reduction in crashes by about 35%, and about 76% reduction in actual injuries at an intersection. And the benefits are derived just because with the roundabout, you're getting a whole lot in terms of you bring a traffic calming effect, lower speeds, you have shorter pedestrian crossing times and crossing distances, and a whole lot of benefits that come along with the roundabout. And that's why, you know, it was always thought to be a prime location to have a roundabout at this intersection. We also looked at traffic. We conducted traffic counts at this intersection in November of 2019 on a typical weekday, which is, you know, the morning from 7 to 9, and then in the afternoon from 4 to 6. And we identified the peak hours for analysis. We also did future projections. Typically for lots of projects, you project traffic 20 years out. So we looked at a future year of 2039. Using a growth rate that was, you know, given to us by Connecticut DOT. We also included traffic from other approved projects that had not yet been built at that time, as Russ alluded to, and included all of that in terms of our future traffic volumes. And this screen sort of shows the schematic of the traffic volumes and the existing condition, as well as the future 2039 condition as well. We analyze the intersection and the existing conditions and the future conditions. Typically, Darlene, for your benefit, when we do these kind of analysis in terms of capacity, we summarize the results in terms of level of service, which is really a qualitative measure of the amount of delay that is experienced, average delay that's experienced at an intersection. So level of service F, A through level of service F is the scale that we typically use. Level of service A is great, really free flow, very little delay, and level of service F being in a bad condition with a lot of delays, and that's not really acceptable. So in doing our analysis, and even under existing conditions, we're able to tell that some of the movements were level of service F from this graphic. You look at in the AM condition, level of service F on Colt Highway, as well as 2 Mile Road, and that's makes sense in terms of what I was talking about earlier, where you have most of the traffic going to the north towards Yukon Health, and in the PM, likewise, you have more traffic leaving, the campus. So it's understandable that in the PM on South Road coming southbound, you have a level of service F. So the analysis sort of validated the issues that we are thinking in terms of traffic at this intersection. Then we looked at a future condition without the roundabout, just the existing geometry with the increased future traffic volumes. And as you can see, some of these movements even begin to get worse compared to the existing condition. So you see more E's and F's in the future condition without the roundabout improvement. So this sort of set the stage in terms of really us seeing the need for this proposed improvement of a roundabout. And so we then, with that information, move into the actual design of the roundabout. And at this point, I'll hand over to Mark to sort of give a brief overview of our design approach for the roundabout and some of the characteristics of the roundabout. Mark.
Thanks, Kwesi. Thanks, Darlene, for joining us. My name is Mark Mancini. I'm with SLR Consultant.
Oh, just so you know, we have one other person here that lives on South Road, so there's two of us.
Okay.
All right. Welcome. So like I said, my name is Mark Mancini. I'm with SLR Consulting. I've been the design lead on this project. So we'll talk a little bit about the design of the roundabout going forward here. So Kwesi touched upon the existing issues with the current always stop controlled intersection. So, where do we go from here? We know there's existing issues with the current intersection. So what we did at SLR is we worked with Russ in the town and with the Connecticut DOT on the design of a proposed roundabout that would kind of suit all our needs in terms of safety, traffic congestion, and anything else that came up. And the design standards we used for the roundabout were based on standards laid out by the Connecticut DOT's Highway Design Manual and through AASHTO's Green Book, which is a policy on geometric design of highways and streets. So we've shown a few of our design criteria there in the table. For the most part, the roundabout has an inscribed diameter of 130 feet. So we'd consider this a multi-lane roundabout, as you'll see on the next slide here. Kwesi, there we go. All right. So on the slide here, we have a proposed roundabout. And as you can see, let me go back a little bit. So just so you know where you are, north is up here. And we have State Route 531 Colt Highway to the left side of the screen, which is to the west. South Road is to the right hand side of the screen. To the east, 2 Mile Road down to the south end, to the bottom end of the screen, and then a continuation of State Route 531 towards the top of the screen. And the proposed roundabout is centrally located within the existing intersection today. We have single lane approaches from the south on 2 Mile Road, from the east on South Road, and from the west along State Route 531 Colt Highway. To the north, coming into the roundabout, we have our only multi-lane approach along South Road. And at each of the 4 approaches, we have proposed splitter islands. Within these splitter islands, not only do they serve to as a boundary between traffic, they also act as a refuge area for pedestrians who may be crossing at those crosswalks from sidewalk to sidewalk. Within the center of the roundabout, we have a mountable truck apron and a beautifully landscaped central island that will have the town of Farmington sign on there, which is, a nice incoming feature to the roundabout as well. That'll really make this pop. Along the outer limits of the roundabout and its approaches, we have proposed concrete sidewalk throughout, coinciding with concrete sidewalk ramps leading you to the crosswalks. And then coinciding with all these geometric improvements, we are proposing modifications to the existing drainage network just so we could adequately collect and disperse of any water runoff here. Next slide, please. All right, so Quaishi talked about the intersection in terms of traffic and how the intersection operates today. If you recall, Quaishi mentioned there was a lot of quite a few level of service F and level of service E in the existing conditions today, and when we looked at the intersection in the future without a proposed roundabout. So if we take a look at this this plan here, you can see that we don't have any level of service E or F. So that's really good. We're looking at level of service A, B, and C for the most part here, which is really good. And this just goes to show how well a roundabout will perform in this area with the amount of traffic that we anticipate. So we're really looking forward to this, and it's a great project to alleviate traffic in the area. Next slide, please. So throughout the design of the roundabout, we've done our due diligence as far as utilities go, and here we have a list of utility companies with existing utilities within the area. We've identified a few utility poles that need to be relocated based on the revised geometry of the intersection. So we'll be working closely with the affected utility companies to properly relocate them before and during construction. Other utility modifications include resetting of manholes and structures, which is a fairly straightforward procedure for the contractor during design, or during construction, I should say. So given the project's location, we'll have no adverse effects to historic properties, parks, or wetlands. You know, we're far away enough from these features. All proposed construction will occur within the state right-of-way or within the town right-of-way. Therefore, there will be no right-of-way impacts to nearby properties. Here we have our total construction cost. So, you know, what will this cost? Russ mentioned that the project will be funded through LOTSIP, through the COG in its entirety. So if we look at the bottom line here, we're looking at about $2.37 million for the construction of the roundabout. And this includes 10% for contingencies, 10% for incidentals to construction, and a utility relocation allowance of $100,000.
All right, thanks, Mark. So really to conclude here, we've gone through the design, we've gotten sign off from the DOT. We just have some document and certifications that we need to send to DOT and the CROG to allow the town to be able to advertise the project for construction. So we anticipate that hopefully by June of this year, we'll be in a position, the town will be in a position to advertise this project, and then hopefully award the contract to a contractor to begin work sometime in August. Again, this is a very exciting project, and I think we're at a point where you know, the end is in sight in terms of actually beginning to implement this project. So with that, I'm not sure if anybody has any questions, but that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Quaicy and Mark. I appreciate it. So Darlene and your friend,
Jeannie.
Jeannie, do you have any questions or anything you want further explained? Please feel free.
What's the time for, you said start date of August. How many weeks or months would it take to complete this project?
We're thinking it's going to be about a year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But and again, one thing we got to work with too is the DOT and their project that's gonna be starting on the ramp at 84.
Do
right
you
there.
know, because
Right.
we were, I mean, we're both actually fine with the roundabout, but we were kind of thinking if this was the only project, that it would be more beneficial to pick something closer to 84, as that's problematic. What, do you know what they're doing down there?
Yes, so they're going to change the intersection to where right now the left turn lane heading eastbound has the right of way.
Yep.
They're going to change it so the right turn has the right of way, and the left heading west and getting onto 84 heading eastbound, it's going to be a stop condition.
Oh, wow.
So they're reversing it. Okay.
Wow, that'd be nice.
So
To gun up to get on that ramp when they're coming at 80 miles an hour down.
right. I think that'll reduce a lot of the, accidents, and as you know from the area, that intersection has a lot of bad accidents. So
Yeah, I can see that.
So the sidewalks, it looks like those were the blue, correct? And they were going to most of the businesses. Are they gonna also go over the highway to make it safe to actually walk up Munson Road?
So the sidewalks, so Tracy, can you go back?
Yeah,
to that?
yeah, right there.
And you know what, maybe, Dylan, while we're talking about this, maybe you could call up our GIS or Google Maps.
Yeah, I'll pull up the GIS.
So right now you can walk over the bridge on the west side,
Mhm.
but the
You can.
sidewalk, unfortunately, the property where the church is
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
drops off significantly, so that we would have to almost move the road over towards what I'm going to call the Union Hall or whatever, that the business on the corner of Munson and
Oh,
South.
yes, yep.
And we'd have to push the road to that side so we could get the sidewalk in. Basically, right behind the curb there after the bridge, the slope is so steep, we can't fit a sidewalk in.
So is there, if the fast track is coming to that parking lot there, then is there a Yukon bus that would pick up people that would potentially ride the fast track and then go to the health center?
They talked about it. I don't know what the last outcome is of that. I know they were talking about that, how to get commuters from the new park and ride to Yukon Health Center. I don't know what the bottom line is from that, but we could find out.
Okay. It seems like it would make sense if that was the whole purpose, is to get people to ride a bus to get to work, and they don't have a safe way to get there. It'd be kind of a moot point.
Yeah, and I think one thing that they were talking about as well, and the Greater Transit District, along with my discussions with Yukon, was to get the bus to go right to Yukon.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So you wouldn't even have to, get off here and walk or whatever. And that was one of the discussions.
One of the stops, yeah.
And so is the 84 project going on at the same time?
So that's what I was getting to before. So their
Oh,
construction meeting, the middle of May, in a couple weeks. So they're going to be starting this summer. So their project I would say they would be done. The majority of the project should be done this summer and fall. So depending on, and we still got those dates that Kwesi has on the presentation, we talked about it. Those are hopefully, that would be our hopeful dates.
yeah.
Because we got to get final approval from the DOT based on our meeting tonight. And we have to submit just a couple more forms for certifications, but we have to wait for them to actually go through and approve it. So that who knows how long that will take, or we'll push. But I'm under the mindset that we hold off on our bidding and put the bid out in the early winter, winter for spring of 23 construction.
Which would, by that time, hopefully the DOT will be done with their work. So
Exactly.
23rd, I would hope so.
Okay. So is anybody going to clean, like make the roads better that are like Munson Road is horrible right now. They just keep letting people build and there's ruts in the road.
So that's one thing we've talked about here in my office about when should we pave that? So that's on our list, we have it out in our paving is a fluid list that'll change from year to year. Depending on what happens in the winters and stuff. So we've been waiting on that with the Metro building their building. We want to let all the heavy equipment get done. And our plan is once that's done, we'll go in.
Okay, so kind of when they finish that medical building.
So next year or the year after would be probably the best.
Too soon.
Okay. So how much disruption will we have when they're actually constructing?
That's a great question. So we have, and it goes back to, we have a phasing plan that there's going to be some disruption. Obviously, we can't, build this in a vacuum, but it's not going to be the delay getting through the construction zone is not going to be any worse than, the peak AM peak periods.
Correct. And so you're still going to be able to make all the movements that during construction that you're making now. But the only difference is that you're going to know that there's construction going on.
You maybe
Okay.
drive it on the process.
Yeah, so there is we are not going to detour traffic or anything like that.
Right.
You're still going to be able to go through the intersection.
Okay.
And get on 84.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep. No,
Okay.
not one leg will be cut off during construction.
Correct.
Okay, good.
So I don't really know who did the Route 4 project, but are like those same brains aren't at work here, are they?
Which Route 4 project?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, I think somebody was. What Route 4
Well,
project?
The Route 4 project where
Oh, I
it's a
ignore
total
Route 4.
fail.
I ignore Route 4.
So
I avoid Route 4 with.
well,
the- like the
I'm
plague.
being serious. Like that, my 25-year-old said, that's criminal. Like we live on this side of town, and honestly, we do not go into town. We were like all excited. Oh, it's supposed to be easier. Well, it's not. It's just easier to get the heck out of town, but not get into town.
Oh yeah, coming down, there's always still a line of traffic. I went the other way the other day and it was like, oh, thank God I'm not coming. But my rule is you never go into Farmington Center after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, never until 8 o'clock at night. Like,
So
wait, don't
So
go
have
into
the
the
same
town. center of town.
logistics been applied to this?
I'm sorry, what was the last thing?
Have the same logistics been applied to this,
Oh.
like study and no?
So a little background on that project. Because of hear me out before you cut my head off. The thought process was people did not want Route 4 to look like 44 with 2 lanes going through town. And the
Okay.
only way to solve the issue of the backup on Route 4 heading into town is to add another lane. And that would have meant taking down a couple more, 3 or 4 more houses, more right of way, it cost and things like that, but they didn't want to change the character of Route 4. Meaning the council at the.
Congestion.
So we're blaming aesthetics and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm being honest with you, like that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that's.
They didn't want Route 4 in Farmington Center to look like 44 in Avon. So that said, the one positive, there are 2 things that I think came out of that project that are positive is the right turn in, right turn out of the former Chuck's entrance.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the highest accident intersections in the state of Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
I mean, and that's the truth. Like there were multiple accidents daily, weekly. I mean, it was crazy because you were cutting across 3 lanes of traffic to go eastbound out of Chuck's. So
Yeah.
That's a positive. A second positive that came out of that project is the town got a $5 million sewer replacement project done. It cost us $100,000. So we got a pretty good bang for our buck on that, based for what they needed to do with their utilities in that for us to create that one sewer line. So that was a good positive. We didn't have to increase taxes for that, $5 million. Do I disagree with you that it's not the best project? Yes. But given the parameters that we had at the time, that we have, it was the best option that we could do.
Okay,
And I'll be honest with you, my in-laws live on Home Circle. I go Route 6 to Mountain Road to come back home I live in the Highlands.
Mhm.
I can't sit on Route 4. So,
Yeah, I don't go that way. I just avoid it. Mountain Road, and you cut across and you go weave around Miss Porter's.
Yeah. If the kids needed anything at high school, I'm like, you're on your own.
and truth be told, my wife will sit in traffic and go that way, and she'll beat me by about a minute. And I'm like, you can sit there, I'll be driving around.
That's right. I'll look at all the scenery. I'm not sitting here breathing exhaust.
I would rather move. So
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, well, then I guess we'll give you a pass on that. I just thought that the total sale was that it was going to be a major improvement, but it doesn't look yucky, like you were saying with the,
People still back up all the way onto the highway to get into Farmington.
and the oddest thing about it is, like you said, you don't know, you said after 1 o'clock. I mean, there's days at 11 o'clock it's backed up. I mean, I don't know what the reasoning is. This is not your typical intersection or roadway that, at 3:30 it starts backing up every day. It's not.
No.
That's the problem with the whole thing.
Yep. I go down Mountain Road and get to the bank that way, or down to weave around Miss Porter's to go past the intersection.
Right.
But yeah.
So that's just, it's an oddity stretch of road that it gets that much traffic at all different times. Excuse me.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Good to know what's going on.
yes, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks for
thank you.
joining us.
Okay, have a good
Thank you.
evening.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye-bye.